Yep. All right.
All right, let's do this. So good to see you, Dr. Cherry. Thank you for your time today.
Yes. Thank you, Lauren.
All right. Well, I'm excited to hear from you. I know we were just chatting before about just all the busyness of life, and I kind of love to start there. We will, by the way, before we dive into kind of the bio and all of that, we will include links to your bio below and any things that we talk about here. I know you're involved in so many different initiatives, podcasts, and all kinds of things. So with the craziness of life, to get back to that point, let's start there. Is how do you find the time? Because you're teaching, you're leading your own firm, you're giving back, and so much more. So how do you make it all happen and just do it like it's no big deal? So
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Well, I wouldn't advise it to do so many things. That said, they're interlinked because they all focus on financial wellness, well-being, life well-being, just advancing the human condition, Lauren. That is the common thread. And
hmm,
when through each one of these platforms, whether it be talking to advisors directly, students, my clients, just in general to corporate America, whatever stage, if I'm on stage,
hmm,
then people are receiving a message,
hmm,
and I want that message to be transformative.
hmm.
That's what it's all about, Lauren. I mean, so that's the common thread. I'm hoping that all of the threads that I'm doing, right, can receive this energy and I can keep going.
Yeah.
However, that said, that said, sometimes it's not advisable.
No, it's fair. I know. When you're passionate about something, it's easy to dive into it. And I think it's you've touched, with your work, touching so many folks and their lives, especially the next generation too. And I love just to hear, why the next gen? And when you were growing up, did you have, similar mentors or leaders that kind of helped you lift you up to your career and where you are today?
Right. So mentorship is very important to me. So I just made a post here earlier. I think it was about 4 weeks ago. I said, rarely is someone self-made.
Hmm.
And I know a lot of people like saying, "Hey, I'm self-made. I worked hard." Da da da. Da," and I'm like, somewhere along the line, an individual or a team of individuals helped you some way. They invested in you. They supported you. They championed you in some sort of way. So somebody did that for a lot of people. Did that for me, Lauren. So
Hmm.
I can, my mentor at Prairie View A&M. Matter of fact, I had two of them there. My parents, to kick it off, the first episode of my podcast was with my parents.
Oh,
They
that's
took
so fun.
two episodes. I mean, you're talking about 45 years of marriage and having two adult children, what they invested in us. So, uh, all that to say this, my career, and I've had several mentors, still have some to this day. You know, they took the time
Hmm.
to say, okay, we believe in you, and my thing is I tell folks all the time is like, don't make fools out of the
Hmm.
folks that bring you here.
Hmm.
Right. And there's not going to be it's life is not linear.
Hmm.
So, I've had some rough spots in my life for sure. That said, I kept going not only just for my my inner self, but I didn't want to make fools out of folks that got me here. So I want to pass that along. I am passionate
Yeah.
about mentoring others, whether it be career changers, people in school, whatever it may be. I just want to believe in them as somebody believed in me.
I love that. So I love the piece too that you talk about, you've got to be able to give your time, right? And to be present, to be able to give back. For someone that is thinking about or wanting to be a mentor to help bring out that next gen, do you have any recommendations about how to kind of foster that kind of relationship or ways that you found to be really meaningful so that that individual can get the most out of it and you can get the most out of it too?
Yes, which is to really be present, and just take a listen, be connective, be people. How do you do that? I mean, that's just very cliche.
Mhm.
No, no, you can be connective by being vulnerable,
Mhm.
uh, sharing your story when it's time. You
Mhm.
know, we've all been in places to where you hear a story, somebody tell a story,
Mhm.
and it's like, you know what? That's me too. And then it's an opportunity, it's an environment it's encouragement to
Yeah.
say, okay, I want to tell my not man, but okay, I want to tell my story too.
Mhm.
Can I connect with you? And can I trust you, Lauren?
Mhm.
Can I trust you? And sometimes when you have somebody that you connect with through vulnerability and courage, then that encourages someone else to be
Mhm.
vulnerable and courageous as well, and
Mhm.
take that first step of engagement. So
Mm.
that's really how you gain someone's trust and say, okay, let's swap stories here. Let me share mine. And then also too, I had this saying, it said, when you open up the heart,
Mhm.
you open up the mind.
Mm.
And and when you open up the heart, people are more willing to receive education, guidance,
Mhm.
instruction, all of that. So that's how you do. Lead with compassion.
That's so fair. And then are the folks that you're mentoring and working with, are they mostly in the financial services or financial planning space? Kind of who is it that is in that circle? How have they found you or you found them?
Mhm. So, I'm reached out to all the time. I mean, obviously, I'm in front of students on campus
Mhm.
and professionals. I've been advisor coaching before,
Mhm.
and still do when people wanna reach out. So I have office hours. Matter of fact, I'm about to start posting those in a little while.
Mhm.
So, because I get so many emails and people in my DMs and everything, and they're saying, "Dr. Cherry, I need some time with you, career wise, practice management for senior advisors,
Yep.
uh, all of these things."
Yep.
So, and then when I'm on stage, I'm talking to folks, excuse me, I'm talking to people, and they want to know, they want to know, um, get 5 minutes or 10 minutes or schedule a meeting.
Mhm.
So it can be for students, advisors during their practice, career changers. I mean, it could be a lot of things. So,
And then are there any kind of themes to or trends that you're hearing conversations with or issues that you feel like you're addressing quite frequently? I love just to hear if there's kind of anything since you've got the pulse on questions that are happening within this industry, if there's any kind of commonalities or how you're sort of having to bring up that next gen or kind of help to shape the current leadership today.
well, that's a good question. The big thing now is being more human,
Mhm.
being more people centered, being more uh, taking account of emotions and people's what I call personhood, which is their values, experiences, attitudes, and belief systems with their money, their emotions about money,
Yep.
relationship with money. So being more human, people centered is whether you want to call it financial psychology, money psychology, uh, mindset. There's a whole bunch of approaches you take for it. But when you talk about financial psychology in particular, you are talking about considering those additives or that I explained, which is, how do people feel? Because how our relationship to money, both past and present, is going
Mhm.
to help unlock information that we have inside of us that's going to influence the number side,
Mhm.
because all of that information goes into the numbers. I posted earlier. It was like, well, what does all that have to do with the money? People was like, when are you
Right.
going to get to the when are you going to get to the money? Well, I said,
Yeah.
well, all of that, it everything. It has to do with everything, right?
Yeah.
So that's the big thing I see now. But that said, it's like a Puff Daddy remix, right?
Oh,
There's nothing there's nothing new. There's always an original song, and there's been some
yes.
there's been some folks been doing this a long time, and being investigating and
Yeah.
partnering and elevating and empowering people to be more human. Has been doing it a long time. Now it's just all the rage.
Yeah, I hear you. So it's less of well, there's a transaction of the business and the deliverables, if you will, or what have you. Just the hard numbers, the science behind it, etc. But the human side can't be ignored. And you know, that's obviously both if you're on the advisor side, but then of course more on the practice management side of training, growing employees, process management,
Yeah.
etc. What
Mhm.
about, so I know that you've got more of, we'll call it like a holistic approach to finance, and I'd love to hear kind of your philosophy or thinking around that, or what do you feel kind of makes your approach different? Because I know that word, you know, is kind of thrown out a lot, holistic and
Right.
wellness and all those kinds of things. And what do you feel like is your bend on it?
Well, a good, great question, Lauren. So, eh, first of all, planning is a process, and I guess a synonym to that would be journey.
Mm-hmm.
At your walk, your pathway, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
however you want to say it. Uh, I want people to experience, or at least aspire. One of my favorite words is aspire. What's your aspir? What do you aspire to? What's your aspiration?
Mm-hmm.
Let let's let's discover that for a while.
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like to you? What are the things that you don't want to do anymore, so you can get to the things that you do want to do?
Mm-hmm.
So let's be bold.
Yeah.
And also too, let's retire some things that are not working well. All
Mm-hmm.
right. So not everything is trial all the time. When you talk about money, the money could be happy,
Mm-hmm.
or joyful, I should say, because happiness is on a spectrum to say everybody, but
That's fair.
it could be joyful, it can be triumphant,
Yeah.
you know. So to answer your question succinctly, planning, like life, is a process.
Mm-hmm.
It is continual. You have life stages, life events. So you got to be able to, like my mom and dad says all the time, you got to roll and adapt. You know,
Yeah.
you got to
Yeah.
roll and adapt. So it is when you say comprehensive, it means across, life stage. It means handling the ebbs and flows of life, and also to how the numbers integrate, Lauren. So
Mm-hmm.
one decision is going to affect another. So you have risk management, all your insurances, your employee benefits, your stocks, your restrictive stock units, your retirement, your cash management, tax, investments, estate. Okay,
Yep.
so you're going to an integration of those areas,
Mm-hmm.
along with the other things that I mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So I also, so I'm gonna shift gears a little bit here, because I know that, you know, you've got this, what you call it, the life money balance approach, right?
Yes.
And you've been involved in your leadership with the Center for Financial Wellness and at the University of Wisconsin Green Bay. And I'd love just to hear um a little bit more about, like, how did you come up with that life money balance piece of it? And I'm sure that that also impacts some of your leadership involvement with these different places as well.
Yes. Oh, so thank you for asking. So life money balance is kind of like a child of mine, really. So life money balance started through a transformational process.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I'd like to share for others. I want them to experience their own transformational journey.
Mm-hmm.
And I've shared this a few times, so I'll be short with it. Uh, I, you know, life is grand. Most of the time, I was inputted with a lot of input, self worth, self confidence, self value, all these things, like access to education, so on and so forth. All right, but there was a period in life it was not going very well,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was a long season, as my mother puts it, you know, and I had to figure out what I didn't want to do anymore, so I can figure out what I want to do, what I do want to do, and that was aspiration. So it was a process. It was a process, admitting where I am, acknowledging how I feel about it, and taking some action. I call it the awe moment.
Mm-hmm.
So all of the the it's more than taglines. All of these, the the life money balance, the transformation, the ah moment, the process, let your life lead your money,
Mm-hmm.
not your
Mm-hmm.
money lead your life. That is
Mm-hmm.
life money balance. So your money is working concurrently, the name of the
Yep.
firm,
Yeah.
right? To create your life's design.
Yes.
All right. All of that came from an internal feeling of transformation. I wanted to put it down on paper, and put it into the firm. And I'm like, wow, if this feels this way, then by golly, I want to pass that on to some other folks so they can experience their own version.
Yeah, that's so fair. I feel like in life there's so many distractions, right? And what the world's telling us we should be, or other people, or this or that in your own head. And so being able to sort of put that on paper so that you can say, okay, this is my story arc, or this is where we're going. And then, like you said, let that actually drive the money. The money kind of follows after it. So
Mm-hmm.
because like we were talking about when we started too, right? Passion, if you're passionate, it will just sort of come out, kind of oozes out, right? And then it other things attract like positivity attracts positivity often, and like things attract like things. So it's sort of it's a good thing. So
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
one more question for you here. Because you've got a really unique vantage point, being at a firm with an education hat, speaking, podcast, all these sorts of things. Are there any trends that you are seeing, like, or shifts in this industry? I know you talked earlier about kind of the human side of it, right? And being able to talk through it. Do you see any other more service-based trends or practice management trends or even education trends, like things that are happening with courses, new coursework that's happening? I'd love to hear about that.
Yes, yes. I mean, so our and I like to call it a profession. Industry is capturing of a lot of things, right?
Hmm.
You can do like financial services,
Right,
but
right.
financial planning in of itself, like financial coaching and even financial therapy, and all of those aspects that you can use within the process as an advisor giving
Yeah.
advice. Um, you know, those are professions, particularly financial planning, because
Hmm.
financial planning is a profession that follows a process and then so on and so forth, right? So, and then you can break that down to personal finances too. And when you break it down to personal finances, then you bring in elements like financial coaching and financial education and
Hmm.
financial wellness, right? And so when you bring all that in, then yes, our profession and how we help people attain financial wellness so they can have a better well-being
Hmm.
is changing. You're seeing platforms on really interactive platforms like on social media, IG, Twitter, TikTok, all this stuff. Folks are utilizing those platforms in order to invite people and at scale
Hmm.
to receive information. It's incredible, actually. And you're seeing financial planners as well with the kind of like the old school or even newer school process. They're adapting their platforms
Yep.
in
Yep.
order to become more inviting
Yep.
and the like. So the way we are connecting with the audience and inviting people in, service models, all of that changing rapidly,
Hmm.
very rapidly.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, so much more accessible.
mm,
Yep. Yeah. Very good. Well, this is so insightful. I appreciate you taking some time, amongst your day and just sharing some insights about, your philosophy and process and those that you work with. And also thank you for your time to give back and uplift the next generation who's excited about getting into this space and for them to hear your experience, but then also to serve those that are currently in this space and to hear from your vantage point as well. So, any final thoughts too, or?
well, yeah. First of all, thank you for having me. The torch needs to continue to be passed. We're at a nice time right now where younger folks are having a whole bunch of energy to do their thing, and then people forget about Gen X. By the way,
Yes.
uh, and I'm a Gen Xer myself. I'm like, why are you just skipping over folks?
Yeah.
So, my last piece of advice, Lauren, is to for anyone listening is to begin your journey. Even if you're an advisor and you want to do something different for your practice, it's just start.
Yep.
Get your small wins. I know some of that's maybe cliche too, but I've had a little bit of trouble here lately with self-doubt a little, and I'm like, no, just take little bitty steps and get you some wins. So
Yep.
that's for everybody. Start, be courageous, be vulnerable, and get you some wins.
Absolutely. Yeah, I hear you because it's like, okay, got that little win, then you just put yourself out there a little further, you got that little win, but then that little win turns a little bigger win, a little bigger win, and so it snowballs. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's good advice. We see that on this end too, because sometimes, you're working with folks and they go, I don't know if I really want to pick that target. I know I kind of should, but I might be excluding these people. It's like, just sometimes you kind of got to just push or just sort of go in, and then you lean into something, right? And it opens
Lean
up
in.
other doors, it opens up other doors. So, yeah, it's leadership isn't easy, right? So,
No, it's sure not.
goodness.
It's
Well, thank you again for your time. And like I shared earlier, we'll share links below, and we'll take it from there.
all right. Thank you for having me. It's been fun.
Oh, absolutely. Have a good one.
Thank you.